On August 29, 1949, Igor Kurchatov, leading the Soviet Union, was going with his team to a secret place called Arzamas 16. This was going to be the biggest project of the Soviet Union, on hearing which the feet of the countries around the world were going to tremble, especially America. This project was greatly assisted by the spies inside the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project was the project on the basis of which America created the first nuclear weapon in the world. Kazakhstan was sleeping. The people there did not know Theta Huge test was going to take place in Semipalatina city in their country, whose name was Joy 1. America had got a clue that something big had happened there. Then after a few weeks that a U.S. weather plane passes over the site and collects radioactive waste indicating a nuclear explosion. There was silence in the White House that day. President Truman found it difficult to accept this news because it was known that other countries would also make nuclear weapons, but they did not believe it so soon. But how did the Soviet Union make this nuclear weapon? After all, who was the spy of the Manhattan Project who helped the Soviets and what happened to them? Before starting a story, please subscribe the channel and hit bell icon. The beginning of the story. It happens that since 1930, after the communist rule came to power in Russia, youth communist organizations were started in many countries, in America. The name of this organization was Youth Communist League. During the Great Depression, many people were joining this league. The name of one of these people was Julius Rosenberg, who was a Jew and his family had fled from Russia to America. While working in the Youth Communist League, Julius met a girl named Ethel, who was also a Jew. Both of them fell in love and soon got married. Marriage meant taking over the responsibility of the house. Soon, Julius joined the army and started working in the engineering department. By now, the Second World War had started. During the war, America and the Russians were allies among themselves, but Russia did not know that its partner was making a weapon behind its back that would decide the outcome of the war. In 1942, the Manhattan Project was started, the project that gave the world the first atom bomb. During this time, Russia was also trying to make an atomic bomb, but some problems were coming up again and again, so he decided that he would spy on America. This whole plan started because of Stalin. It was Stalin who started the Manhattan Project. America's intentions were known even before it happened. All this became possible because of Stalin's Soviet security services, whereas Germany and Japan's intelligence had failed to anticipate America's intentions. All this was possible to Stalin because of the Cambridge 5 members. Cambridge 5 was active at least till the beginning of the 1950s. After this information, Stalin ordered the Soviet Union to make nuclear weapons, but Stalin also knew that doing all this was not that easy and Stalin needed help from the Western powers. Before it had to be made, Stalin had to create a spy network to make nuclear weapons, and all this became possible because of the Communist Party of the United States of America, in which many they were educated communist people, and they used to work mostly in sensitive wartime industries. These people used to give a lot of secret information to the Soviets. The Soviets had now made this program their highest priority task, which was given the code name Enormous. America's nuclear research was so important for the Soviets that the Soviets started looking for intelligence people inside the Manhattan Project, but it was as easy as it seemed for the Soviets, but they did not get success easily. The FBI discovered and foiled many of the early Soviet efforts. Such was the case in February 1943, where the FBI became aware of a Soviet attempt to contact an American physicist at the University of California, Berkeley Red Lab. They were kept under surveillance and were even kept away from sensitive areas of research. Frustrated with all this, the Soviets made major changes in their mission. The Soviet Union had an internal ministry called NKVD. At that time, this organization was handling all the espionage work. Simon was the leader of the spies, and he had appointed many people like him in the Communist Party of America who agreed with his ideology. Now, one such person in 1942, Simon, was introduced to Julius Rosenberg. Julius was also a frequent attendee of the rising communism rallies in America at that time, and many people knew that he was highly inclined towards communism. Gradually, Simon and Julius became very good friends, and their ideas of communism started matching with each other, and Julius agreed to work for them. After a few days, Julius got engaged in his first task, and the first thing he did was to buy American weapons. Information related to this was sent to Russia. It included all the secret information about America's first fighter jet, Lockheed P-8 Shooting Star. Gradually, Julius started rising in the eyes of Soviet leaders, and his name is now popular in American communist rallies. After this, Simon put Julius on a big post and now started recruiting people for espionage, and it became the biggest center of Russian espionage in America. He collected all the information and gave it to Alexander Fekalisov. Consulting also provided information. He used to send this information directly to the Soviet scientist. Their coordination continued like this for about a year, and both started enjoying each other's company. But in any story, it is not possible that there is no twist. This is where Ethel Rosenberg enters the game. One day, while talking, Julius told Simon about his family, especially his wife. Gradually, mention of his wife and her family started coming up, and the matter reached the brother-in-law. David Greenglass was the brother of Julius's wife Ethel, who was working in America's nuclear program at that time. On hearing this, Simon's eyes started shining. Now he had to reach David somehow. He then told Julius to talk to his wife Ethel. Ethel tells David about Simon's plans. Ethel motivates her brother and explains to him that this is a battle between capitalism and communism and this nuclear weapon. David could have played a decisive role in this war. David gets ready for this mission, and he gives important information related to uranium to Julius. Now he has access to nuclear weapons. The information was reaching the Soviet Union very quickly, whereas our government was completely unaware of this. In 1945, the heroes showed the world in Hiroshima and Nagasaki that they would be the biggest power in this era, but a few years later in 1949, Russia conducted its first nuclear test. When the American government came to know about this, it was a shocking thing for them, although they had an idea that one day Russia would achieve nuclear power. But they had no idea that all this would happen so soon. Then the news soon started spreading in the American intelligence circles that it may or may not be that there are spies from the Soviet Union among them, due to which today everyone is getting everything from the Soviet Union. This was the moment when the countdown had started for the Rosenberg couple. Only after this, in January 1950, a German scientist named Klaus Fuchs is caught in England on behalf of Britain. He had participated in the Manhattan Project, and he told that he passed on some information related to the project to Russia. He also gave another intelligence that an American citizen named Harry Gold had helped him in doing so. After this, the American Secret Service Agency arrested Harry Gold immediately in America. The interrogation happened in such a way that has spilled the whole story there. The entire network of Russian spies was exposed, and now it was America's turn to counterattack. Just then the police reaches David Greenglass and arrest him. Greenglass reveals his sister Ethel and Ethel to be Julius Rosenglass. On July 17, 1950, the Rosenberg couple are arrested and taken in for questioning. During his testimony, David Greenglass reveals that Fat Man Skate was given to Julius. Fat Man was the name of the atomic bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki. He also told that his sister Ethel had typed all the information. She used to give many similar things to Julius. She was clearly hinting towards the Rosenberg couple. After this case, which lasted for 6 months, the court found both of them guilty and sentenced them to death. David Greenglass was also punished, but he saved from death penalty. However, the story does not end here, and this case created an uproar in America for decades. People said that the Rosenberg couple had not committed any murder. Common citizens get death sentence in the name of espionage. The public was watching for the first time. So gradually the Rosenberg couple started getting sympathy from some sections. Both were Jews, and at that time, only a few years had passed since the massacre of Jewish nuns by the Nazis. In this case, the American government and the courts were accused of anti-Semitism. Allegations were made, but the American government and the courts did not waver from their decision. One part of this severe punishment was also related to the Korean War. The logic was that if the spies had not given nuclear information to Russia, then the Korea War would not have happened. He would have kneeled down somewhere earlier. Thousands of American soldiers had lost their lives due to the betrayal of spies. Due to these reasons, the Rosenberg couple were considered worthy of death penalty. Ultimately, on June 19, 1953, both of them were given the death penalty. Electric chair was used for death penalty in American states. Rosenberg couple left behind 2 children aged 10 to 11 years. No one refused to adopt them, calling them sons of traitors. Later, a social worker helped them. Growing up, both the children kept calling their parents innocent. According to them, their mother had no knowledge of espionage. With the fall of the Soviet Union in 1990, this case takes a new turn. You will ask, Rosenberg is dead. What is the use now? The reason for this was the rule of law, the only identity of democracy. Only by recognizing the mistake, its repetition can be avoided. In 1955, the American government released some intelligence documents. These documents were obtained from Russia. These confirmed that Rosenberg was spying on the couple, but was their crime worthy of being hanged? In the year 2001, Ethel Rosenberg's brother David made a big revelation in this matter. As we told earlier, he himself was a detective, and his testimony proved to be the most important in this case. David told that in reality his sister had no fault. His own wife used to do the typing work, but to save her, he implicated his sister. After this revelation, the demand for Ethel Rosenberg's innocence once again gained momentum. Rosenberg's 2 sons kept trying to prove their parents' innocence for years. In this matter, they wrote a letter to President Obama last year. This effort continued till 2023. The Rosenberg couple became victims of the Cold War, but the amazing thing in this case is that Russia never admitted that it stole nuclear secrets from America. He always kept saying that this is his achievement. After the nuclear race, both the countries came face to face in the space race, but your victory went to Russia. So friends, this is how the Soviet Union had planned to steal nuclear weapons from America. What would you say? Do tell about such tricks of the Soviet Union in the comments. Till then, bid farewell to you. We will be back soon with a new interesting topic. Please subscribe, expose, and educate for such interesting content.